Once upon a time, a dog was living all alone in the jungle. He had no friends and was so bored and lonely. His only acquaintance was the fox, who was always going out to hunt and play with the other animals. One day, the dog called on the fox to keep him company, but the fox declined the offer, stating that he needed to go play at the cold mountains with his other friends. The dog got furious and convinced himself that it was time to find a companion. Some days later, he found a wife and decided on a date to make the journey to the neighboring village to meet his future in-laws. As was customary, the dog needed someone to accompany him on this important occasion to bear witness before he could take his companion home with him. So, he asked his only acquaintance, the fox. After much deliberation, the fox agreed to accompany him, but on one condition, that they would return as quickly as possible because the fox didn't want to stay away from his friends for too long. The dog agreed and promised that they would be back the next day, but he had other plans. On the fateful day, the dog and the fox set out on their journey to the neighboring village to meet the dog's in-laws. When they were halfway through the journey, the dog stopped the fox near a tomato plantation and said, "My friend Fox, there is one important favor I need to ask of you." "Yes, let me know what it is I can do," replied the fox. "Do you see this herb?" asked the dog. "Yes, it is the herb used to cure a tummy ache," replied the fox after carefully examining it. "Well done, friend. When we get to my in-laws' place, they will give us a lot of food. When I eat, I might suffer from a tummy ache. Friend, you will quickly run back to this exact place, to this tomato plantation, dig up the roots, and bring back this cure for me," said the dog. The fox agreed to the request, and they continued their journey. At sunset, they reached the village. The dog and the fox were well received and given a room to rest. They were both hungry, as they had traveled the whole day to get there, so they looked forward to the meal. A huge feast was made in their honor and brought to their room. As they took the first bite of the meal, the dog interrupted the fox. "My friend, I think the problem is already starting. My tummy is rumbling, and it's starting to ache. Do you remember the herb and where I hid it? Rush and get me some of it, otherwise, I may not survive the night." The fox panicked and quickly sprinted off to get the herb for the dog's tummy. Unknown to him, the dog was intending to finish up the whole meal and starve him as punishment for the times he had rejected his offer to keep him company. The dog settled comfortably and devoured the whole meal alone. When he had his fill, he called for the dishes to be removed. Soon afterward, the fox, huffing and puffing, tumbled into the room with the herbs. "Here you are. I ran as fast as I could. I found the tree, dug up the roots, and brought the herbs to cure your aching tummy." The dog exclaimed, about that, as soon as you left, my tummy suddenly felt better, and I could eat. Now I feel quite strong." "So where is my food then?" asked the fox. The dog told the fox that the hosts had cleared the dishes since he hadn't returned before he finished his meal. The fox was disappointed, but the two friends went to sleep. In the middle of the night, hunger kept the fox awake. He was rolling on his bed as his tummy made strange noises. The dog suggested a plan to steal and eat a goat from outside the pen. The fox readily agreed to the plan, and soon, the two pals accomplished their mission and returned to their room. But lo and behold, while the fox was asleep, the dog hastily smeared him with the blood of the goat they had just eaten, which he had secretly brought with him to the room. His plan was to implicate the fox as the culprit in case the in-laws noticed the missing goat. Unknown to the dog, there were some rats in the corner watching him as he smeared blood on the fox as he slept. In the morning, the hosts woke up to find their goat missing. They questioned the fox and the dog, who both denied the crime, until they saw the fox stained with blood. He was apprehended and singled out to be punished. The fox looked at the dog, feeling betrayed, as the dog denied ever being part of the scheme. At that moment, as the fox was being dragged off to be punished, some rats jumped out of the corner of the room and claimed to have witnessed the incident. The rats described how they saw the dog smearing blood all over the fox as he slept. They even brought the bowl the dog had used during the act as evidence. The in-laws were so disappointed in the dog that they released the fox and allowed him to return to his village. He ran without looking back. The dog, however, was apprehended and put on a leash. He was never allowed to return to the jungle, and he lived with his in-laws as a pet to replace the goat he had eaten. I hope you learned something from this story. Please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button. Be a part of my growth. Turn on the notifications so that when I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your consistent support.